Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for attending the PACE University Paralegal Program Information Session webinar. My name is Stephanie Plowman, and I am a program coordinator for the PACE program. With me is Jamie Liotta from PACE University, who is the program manager and who I think is going to say hi right now, but will certainly join us
Hello.
later. Hello, Jamie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Jamie will be sitting back for the early part of the webinar and will join us later to speak about registration and enrollment information. So we can look forward to more than just a hello from Jamie in a little bit. But what we are going to do this evening is talk a little bit about the paralegal profession in general, and then we are going to get into the specifics of the PACE program. So before we get started, just one housekeeping matter. This system is very, very sensitive. So everyone's audio is turned off. Otherwise, we will hear all of your lives in the background. And I spent one webinar listening to a dog bark for about an hour. So no one wants that. However, we do welcome your questions, and we are always ready, willing, and able to answer them. So if you have questions, you should see on your GoToWebinar toolbar a questions box where you can type in those questions. So please do feel free to type in your questions, and they will pop up on my screen, and I will read them out loud for either Jamie or myself to answer for everybody. If you ask them during the webinar itself at a reasonable break in the sharing of information, and certainly at the end of the webinar, we will open things up to questions. So with all of that being said, let us get started. Okay, now a little bit about the paralegal profession in general. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that between 2010 and 2020, the profession is projected to grow by about 18%. And this is a fairly good rate of growth given everything that's been going on in the economy the last 7-8 years or so. Now, back in about 2009, when the economy really started to crash, attorneys, unfortunately, were finding themselves let go left and right from their law firm positions because, unfortunately, the firms just couldn't keep up with the high salaries of associates and young attorneys. However, the work was still there and someone had to do it. So the firms found that it was a lot more cost effective for them to bring in paralegals to do that work. Because for all intents and purposes, paralegals can do the same type of work as a young attorney, but for, of course, advising clients and going to court. But as far as research, writing, file practice, meeting with clients, with the attorneys and such are concerned, the paralegals were able to step in quite nicely for the young attorneys and the associate attorneys at less cost to the firms. Now, as far as job prospects and such are concerned, and we're going to talk a little bit about looking for a job and such as we get further along in the webinar this evening, but there are a lot of areas of law which I like to refer to as niche areas, really for lack of a better term, where paralegals are uniquely situated to have a lot of responsibility and a lot of autonomy. Now, in addition to being a program coordinator for the PACE program, I am also a practicing attorney in New York City, and I work for a solo practitioner specializing in federal criminal defense. However, when you work for a solo, sometimes a little bit of everything comes your way. So over the years, every so often I've received phone calls. My sister wants to sell her house. My mother wants to buy a house. And I've gotten involved in matters such as that. In one particular transaction, I got involved with the sale of a family member's house after the contract had already been negotiated, so just dealing with adjustments in banks and mortgages and the closing. And I dealt with the paralegal the entire time. Every time I had a question, and I had a lot because it's not my area of expertise, I called the paralegal for I think I represented the seller, she was the buyer, for the buyer's attorney, and she was wonderful. She knew everything. She answered all my questions kindly and patiently and correctly. She handled the closing from beginning to end once we got to that point. I actually didn't even meet the attorney the whole time I dealt with that transaction. So there are areas of law like that, real estate, where you get your foot in the door, you really can have a lot of autonomy and a lot of responsibility. Other areas of law, some areas which can be a little bit more form-heavy: intellectual property, great area for paralegals. Immigration law, wonderful area of law for paralegals, especially if you are ready, willing, and able to keep up with the ever-changing immigration laws. Then just areas of law that can kind of go back to the economy and are still hot even as the economy gets a little bit better. Bankruptcy law, unfortunately, hot area, and sometimes going hand in hand with that, matrimonial and or family law. So formally experienced, trained paralegals really have wonderful job prospects, not only in general litigation, corporate law, etc., but also in these, again, as I like to call them, niche areas of the law. Now, as far as how paralegals feel about their jobs, they feel pretty good about it. CNN Money estimates that a corporate paralegal is one of the top 50 best jobs in America. And, oh, let me go back for a minute. Oh, no, I will stay where I am. And as far as the value of a paralegal certificate is concerned, and certainly there's a lot of job satisfaction, as we can see, in being a paralegal, but as far as the value of a paralegal certificate, those who do have a certificate, and we'll get into this a little bit more in a later slide, will make slightly more than those who do not have some sort of paralegal education or experience. But as far as the salary for a paralegal, and this is a question I get a lot when I'm doing one of these webinars. Number one, am I going to get a job when I get out there, and how much am I going to make? And we'll talk about this more as we continue throughout this evening. But as far as the starting salary would be concerned, the median start is around $54,000. It really depends on what kind of firm you are working for. Certainly if you're working at a big Wall Street type firm, there's going to be more money in the coffers for paralegals and staff than if you are working for a boutique type law firm or a solo practitioner. Corporate law historically is able to pay its attorneys and paralegals and staff and such more than, well, I don't want to use criminal defense as an example because I work in criminal defense, but I will as criminal defense. So it really does depend on what kind of law you're practicing and the size of the firm where you're going. Certainly in New York City, New York is a wonderful market, a nice big market with a lot of money as compared to other markets. So that also ties into what the rate of compensation will be upon obtaining a job. Now, this is my favorite slide: paralegal job outranks lawyer. The best way to kind of bring this to life for you is to share with you my own experience with paralegals from the paralegal program. Several years ago, my firm was working on a huge federal civil litigation, and on New Year's Eve day, the defendant turned over 250,000 documents in discovery. So as I was watching the gentleman push in box after box on a hand cart into an office and stack them up against the wall, and once we got to the top, we had to go into the office. I was thinking to myself, this is a terrible way to start the new year, but also there's no way that we are going to be able to review all of these documents without some help. So we brought in about 10 paralegals from the program for what was at the outset supposed to be a document review project. But once they got situated and became comfortable with the facts of the case and what we were looking for, they were really indispensable in assisting us with not only pulling out those documents, but bringing to light documents we didn't even know were there, documents that they felt would be helpful to us. They assisted us with legal research. We took them to court. They helped with preparing for voir dire, exhibits, you name it, they really got into it. And it was a wonderful experience for them to work on this big federal civil case. Now, of course, as often happens, the case settled the day before jury selection. But as far as the paralegals were concerned, they worked a regular type workday, 9 to 5, 10 to 6, something like that, as compared to the lawyers, in particular myself, since I still vividly recall doing this, but I was still in the office at 3 o'clock in the morning marking exhibits and eating a pizza for one. So there's definitely, when you're working at a litigation firm, of course, everyone needs to pitch in around trial time, so it's going to get busy. But as far as the sort of day-to-day demands of a law firm, it does fall more on the shoulders, of course, than the paralegals. You wouldn't get the crazy client calls that the attorneys would get. So there definitely is, a little bit of a better work-life balance on the paralegal end. Okay, as far as the value of a paralegal certificate is concerned, you will see when you are looking at postings for paralegal positions that most firms, attorneys, corporate departments, they are looking for someone who either has paralegal experience or a certificate. And quite frankly, from an attorney's perspective, from the firm's perspective, the two are, in essence, interchangeable in a way, because what they're looking for is someone who doesn't have a huge learning curve when they're coming into the firm. Attorneys want to be able to hand a paralegal, whether it be a new paralegal or an old paralegal, a file and say, this new case came into the office. I need you to draft a summons and complaint. You'll find all the facts you need in the file. Here's a template of a summons and complaint that we did, from another case. Get to it. Draft that summons and complaint for me. And they want their paralegal to be able to take that file and walk away and come back shortly thereafter with, with a pretty good draft of a summons and complaint. And that's something that you will certainly learn how to do in the paralegal program, draft a summons and complaint, among other things. But what firms are looking for when they are asking for someone with either experience or a paralegal certificate is someone who has a legal baseline, someone who isn't going to, just to use a colloquialism, look like a deer caught in headlights if they're asked to draft a summons and complaint. They'll have that legal baseline. They will be able to get to work right away with not a lot of hand-holding, so to speak. Certainly there will always be questions. There'll always be a learning curve in any new job. But as far as the law is concerned, you'll either know how to do what's being asked of you, or you'll know where to look to find out what to do, what's being asked of you. So I will often tell students, especially those students who tell me that they don't have any legal experience, if they're looking for a job and they see that the job posting is specifically requesting legal experience, I remind them of this, that they're looking for you to have some sort of legal baseline. You have a paralegal certificate now. Send them your syllabus from Pace University, send them your client file folder, show them what you can do, and that's what they're looking for. So, you can get around that experience, quote unquote, requirement by showing them that you can do what someone with experience can also do, and maybe even more, because maybe some folks who are working in law firms are not doing the writing, the research, the tasks like that you will learn how to do in the program. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the National Association of Legal Assistants estimates that those with a paralegal certificate do make slightly more than those who do not. So every little bit helps. Education is a wonderful thing. Okay, let us now get into the specifics of the PACE program. Now, this is a 5-month intensive program that's broken down into 2 core components. The first is your essential skills class, and that is basically an introduction to the law. Legal writing, legal research, courthouse structure, legal terminology, On the first day you walk into class, you will be assigned a hypothetical client and fact pattern, and you will work that client and fact pattern the whole way through in all of your writing assignments. So you'll start off with simple writing assignments like a demand letter, client correspondence. You'll work your way up to that summons and complaint we just talked about, discovery demands, all the way up to a summary judgment motion. At the end of the day, you will put all of your drafted documents into your client file folder, also known as a writing sample, to show to prospective employers. So you can show them not only do you know what all of these documents are and how they're used in the litigation process, but you yourself have drafted them, and here are samples of your draftings. You'll also learn how to research in Essential Skills via Westlaw and Lexis, the two main legal databases that attorneys and law firms use to find cases, statutes, etc., to support their legal arguments. So Essential Skills runs for the duration, and we'll kind of get down into the breakdown of classes and such by program once we get to that slide, the fall schedule slide. But that will run for the duration. So if, for instance, you are taking the Tuesday-Thursday program in Midtown Manhattan, you will have Essential Skills every Tuesday night. Now, the rest of the program is broken down into 4 substantive classes. So you will have 4 weeks each of tort law, contract law, New York procedures, and family law. In each one of those classes, you will have a short writing assignment, kind of like a fact pattern, issue spotting type writing assignment, and you will take an exam. I should also note that in Essential Skills, you will also take 3 exams in addition to your writing assignments. To pass all components of the program, you need to receive a 70% or higher in each one of your courses. So you need to obtain a 70% or higher in each of the 4 substantive classes. And for Essential Skills, you need to obtain a 70% or higher in both the writing component and the exam component. Now, each one of your instructors is a practicing attorney or judge in the New York area, whether it be New York City or Westchester County. The majority of our instructors have been with us almost since the beginning of the program, and the program's been around for about 6 years now at Pace University. They are they're in the classroom for the sheer joy of teaching. They're experts in their field. They love sharing their knowledge with you. They love being with the students, and they are absolutely wonderful. I mean, we are really lucky with the instructors who we have, and you know, our students certainly respond to them and enjoy them. So we are, you know, we do have a good group of instructors waiting for you as we hit this fall semester, or even the spring semester as well. So in addition to the in-class component, we also have an online component of the program, and we have been staring at this slide for a little while now. Our website, paralegalspace.com. Now, at the outset, Paralegal Space is a communications portal among administrators, students, and instructors. We'll post announcements for you, let you know what's up for the next class, post your syllabi on the site. But more importantly, you will find study support for each one of your classes in the paralegal program. So shortly before the classes will start, and if any of you have already registered for the I'm sorry, I'm constantly multitasking here. If any of you have already registered for the White Plains program and you're joining us just to join us tonight, which is wonderful, you will be receiving your login via email tomorrow. But shortly before classes start, students will receive their login to paralegalspace.com via email from me. And once you go to paralegalspace.com, this is what you'll see, the main page. You will enter your user ID and password, and then this is what you'll see. So over here on the right-hand side, you can see recent announcements, grades are posted, reminders about class, we have a chat room. But over here on the left-hand side, there are a series of black tabs, and we're just going to take a look at a couple of them right now. The first one is an example of a program syllabus. This is a main program syllabus. And you can see here that on the left-hand side, it shows the schedule and all of the work you're going to have to do for essential skills. So all of your reading assignments, your writing assignments, exam schedule, etc. So you'll know from the very beginning of class that, week 10, your summons and complaint is going to be assigned, and it will be due during week 14. So you can certainly gauge your time accordingly, especially if you know that you have, things that are coming up or things that are going on. You can schedule when you can get all of your work in. On the right-hand side, you will see the schedule for the substantive classes. Now, each one of your substantive instructors will post his or her own individual syllabi with their reading assignments prior to the start of each class. So that will be posted here under the syllabus tab. Now, in addition to, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, all of your exams and assignments and such are posted on Paralegal Space. So as you can see, and as we kind of get into discussing the website a little bit more, you can see that there also is a very important technological component to the program. So it is important that you do have, a computer that you don't regularly want to throw out the window, that doesn't crash on you every 5 minutes. And you don't need to be super tech savvy to use the site, but certainly comfortable with technology and working online. To that end, all of your assignments and all of your exams are posted on Paralegal Space and submitted on Paralegal Space. And you can see here we have an assignments tab, no exams tab on this particular site, but all of that work is done on the site. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, there is amazing study support to accompany each one of your classes in the program on the site. This isn't the main area of study support for you, but here under the Resources tab is where your instructors will post additional resources that they feel will be helpful to you as you're working through the program materials. So you can see that there is an Essential Skills folder, there are tort law PowerPoints posted. There are all sorts of things that your instructors will post for you. This is just a sampling of some of those items that are posted for you that you will find when you first log into the site and then are added to over the course of the semester. But the main area of study support is under this Para-Student Login tab, and this is where you will find support to accompany each one of the chapters in your Essential Skills books, as well as the chapters in your torts, contracts, and family law books. Now, we do not have the same structured support for New York procedures as we do for the other classes, as your instructors, each one of the instructors has developed his or her own individual syllabi for that particular course. And that, of course, is where the Resources tab comes into play. Your instructors will add additional resources for you there to assist you with those materials. But for all the other classes, you will find accompanying support right here under the Para-Student tab. So what you will do is for whatever class you're working on, log in, and here we are under Essential Skills right now. Log in and basically work through the support that accompanies the materials that you are reading and preparing for class. So what we recommend that you do is read in the books, read the material prior to coming to class, go to class and listen to and participate in the lectures, and then work through this corresponding support. It builds upon what you are working on in class. It enhances it. It's a wonderful review, and it is just really helpful to assist you with all of this new material. Learning the law can be like learning a foreign language, and it's not just because there's a lot of Latin involved, but there's a different way of thinking, there's a different way of speaking, there's a different way of looking at problems and solving them. And that all comes with time, that all comes with practice, and it all comes with working through these materials and just getting comfortable with it, getting comfortable with the law, with the lexicon, with how to approach problems. So as you are working through the study support, we have all different types of support within essential skills in particular. We have lecture notes that will go through, you can see right here, goes through some of the various definitions and terms and such that you will learn early on in your essential skills class. We have mock exams. We have tons of mock exams where you can test yourself on the material that you are learning. These are just for you. You can work through them as much as you want. As you are working through them, you will get instant gratification or horror, depending on how you did on the exam. And you can immediately check your answers, see if you're right, see if you're wrong, and see what the reasoning behind the correct answer is. Now, if you feel as if you need more assistance in that particular area of law, you should, or you can click on the accompanying study link, which will assist you in finding additional support for that particular area if you need more help. So for every single chapter, for every single area of law that you are working on in essential skills, but also in torts, contracts, and family law, you will have these practice exams, these mock exams to work through to test yourself on the material and prepare for the actual exams that you'll take in the classes. Now we have all sorts of exercises, interactive tools, demonstrations, charts, you name it. There are legal cartoons. There is different support in here. We like to keep it interesting. We like to keep it fun and different each time. Here is an example of an interactive citation quiz. Citations, the series of letters and numbers after a case name that you will see in reading cases. It's important to be able to both write citations properly and read them properly. Write them to ensure that any brief or motion, whatever you are submitting to a court, if the judge or the judge's law clerk wants to pull that case, they are able to do so without a problem because you have included the correct citation. Read them, even, I don't know what's more important, writing or reading. It's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. But reading them is very important because you want to make sure that you are relying upon a case that is mandatory, mandatory authority in your jurisdiction that can be used in your particular argument. So really important citations and working through those interactive quizzes. Paralegal perspectives, sometimes you'll read something in the book or you'll learn something in class, but there might be a twist to it in real life, in reality. So we'll let you know what that twist may be. Now, in addition to the support that accompanies each chapter in your books, we also have a couple additional labs on the site, tutorials for you to work through. We just kind of talked about the citations lab a little bit, but there is a citations lab. In addition to that, we have a law library lab. And it's not an area where you can do actual research as you would in a brick and mortar law library or online via Westlaw and Lexis, but it is an area of the site where you can familiarize yourself with the types of materials you will find in an actual law library or online as you are getting acclimated to legal research and starting the study of legal research. So basically what you'll do in the law library online is click on one of the books in the stacks and the book will open up so you can get a sense of how it looks inside. And over here on the right-hand side, you can learn everything you ever wanted to know about that particular volume and those particular materials. You can get a sense of how these materials are updated both in a law library and I think law libraries these days they're not updating hard copies quite as much because of all of the online materials, but you will read a lot and still see a lot, indexes, pocket parts, all this again various lexicon that you will learn about in the program. And you'll also find the best way to research in all of these materials. Do I start in the index? Do I start in the table of contents? Do I start somewhere else? How can I be an efficient researcher? Being an efficient researcher is a very important quality to have as a paralegal, especially once you get into Westlaw and Lexis, and we're going to talk about that next. It is very important to be efficient, to be able to find what you need to find. Even going to a law library sometimes and flipping through the books, it can, it can be an all-day event. I've spent all day in a law library, so you want to be able to go to your materials and find what you need as quickly as you can. Just again, to be able to support your arguments and assist your clients. Now, Westlaw and Lexis, the two main legal databases that attorneys and law firms use. Now, Westlaw and Lexis are very expensive in practice, so law firms tend to have one or the other, and you really don't know what you are going to get until you start working. When I started practicing, I think that we were firmly in Westlaw's corner, and then Lexis gave us a better deal one day, so we switched to Lexis, and I've kind of gone back and forth over the years. I am firmly in Westlaw's corner these days, but I do explore what Lexis has to offer every now and again. They are substantially similar with, some differences here and there. But you will have access to both over the course of the program. Your Westlaw access will be good for the duration of the program, and Lexis for 1 year from your start date. So you will have continued Lexis access even after you have successfully completed the program. Now, we also direct you once you get your Westlaw and Lexis codes, and they generally come about 2 to 3 weeks after the start of the program, because you don't need them right away. You're not going to start studying legal research right away, but we do direct you on the site and within the research labs to the various tutorials that both Westlaw and Lexis have to offer on their respective sites. Both of the platforms went through some updates within the last year or two, and with those updates came the most amazing support and tutorials and certificates and all sorts of things that you can do. And webinars, just like this, that they hold to assist students with navigating the sites and researching. So we do strongly encourage the paralegals to work through as much as they possibly can on the respective sites, because the support there is so good these days. And Lexis, here you go. Okay, in addition to those legal research labs for you, one more lab to talk about is the legal writing lab. Now, there is no reinventing the wheel in the law. If I have drafted, we use the summons and complaint example because it's my favorite. If I have drafted a summons and complaint 6 months ago, I am, and a new summons and complaint comes into my office, or I'm asked to draft one, I'm not going to start completely from scratch. I'm going to take that 6-month-old summons and complaint. I'm going to take out the old facts. I'm going to put in the new. I'm going to make my updates, and then I have a nice draft ready to go for filing. So to that end, we provide you with templates for all of the documents that you will prepare in your essential skills class. In addition to providing you with the templates, and you'll have access to all of the states and the federal jurisdiction. Of course, we're in New York, so we'll be using the New York templates, but you will have access to all. But in addition to providing you with the templates over here on the right-hand side, you can see that you can obtain step-by-step instructions in drafting that particular document. So in the first drop-down box, you'll choose whatever document you are working on, and you can listen to an audio lecture about that particular document. Directly below it, in the step-by-step guide drop-down box, you can get a sense of all of the components you need to include in that document and why. So it is a very helpful assistance when you are getting ready to draft your documents to be able to work through the writing labs and the templates, and to ensure that you are including everything you need to include. Okay, and then just some other items on the site for you. We have a where you've been section, so you can keep track of where you've been. And this is a terrible screenshot that I took of this particular section because it doesn't really show you how it works. If you have worked through the support for a particular section, that little dot will be green. If you have not, it will be red. So clearly I've done nothing in this segment A from chapter 1 through part of chapter 3.4 here. But you can keep track to ensure that you have done everything. You've worked through what you need to. Where you've been is just a convenience for the students. We can't see where you've been. It's just for you to keep track if you would like, but just another area of the site for you. And then we have just a help area, just help. You can search commonly searched terms in here. You can click on table of contents. There's a glossary, which is kind of an online law library where you can take a look again at some of those new terms and words that you are learning in the course of the program, but just a simple, you need help, need to know more about a particular concept. If you were to type a word that you wanted to search for in here, over here on the right-hand side, an explanation with additional links to support would pop up for you. So that is also helpful. We just got a question, are the websites available on mobile devices? Yes, certainly. You can use your website, use the website on an iPad and also on iPhones, mobile devices, mobile phones, etc. Smartphones. I would say that probably smartphones are not the best case scenario for using the site, especially when it comes to taking exams and submitting assignments. You would probably, we would all probably be more comfortable if you took exams and used assignment and submitted assignments on an actual laptop or desktop computer. It is doable to access all of the components of the site on a smartphone, but it is a little bit tough, even when I have to, I try to do it as little as possible on my iPhone. On an iPad, you can certainly access all components of the site. Flash files can be a bit problematic sometimes because Apple and Flash don't have the best out. Okay, I just got an explanation for that question, so I'm really getting into a lot of detail. But I will say that Flash files are not compatible with the site because Apple hates Flash, etc. So we do have non-Flash versions of the support, which either loads automatically if the site senses that you're on, that you don't have Flash, or you can click on a link within the substantive study support. But yes, reading the text and working through the support and such, you could certainly do as you are moving about in life with your smartphone. Simple question, never-ending answer. Also, the chat room, we looked at that a little bit before. Sometimes your instructors will go in the chat room and say, hey, I'll be there Monday from 8 to 9. If anyone has any questions, come on in. Students will sometimes get in the chat room and immediately start talking about the law, setting up study groups. It's a great way to develop the sense of community in the classroom. We had one class, though, who used the chat room solely to discuss where they were going to get drinks every Thursday night after class, so that's a fun way to use it as well. But again, it is a nice way to just kind of chat with each other. You're all in it together and develop that sense of community if you are in the classroom program. And then, upon successful completion of the program, we do move you over to a graduate site. It has all of the components of the quote-unquote live site that you'll use during the course of the semester, such as the study support, our forms companion, all of the good support that you probably would still like to have access to, without any of the pesky exams or assignments that you will probably be very, very happy to put behind you. This is where we will post job announcements for you as they come in from local firms and local attorneys. A little bit about career support for our graduates. PACE does not offer career placement, but there are several things that we'll do to assist you as you get out there. Again, we quite often actually get job postings from law firms in the area who are specifically looking for a PACE paralegal. So we will not only post those on the graduate site, but also during the course of the semester, we'll post it on your site for students to start applying for jobs and interviewing even while they are still in the program. We do have a job strategies section in Essential Skills where your instructors will assist you and talk about fashioning your resume and your cover letter. So it's more geared towards a law firm job and just talk about interviewing and such and the best way to kind of get out there and and market yourself in the legal profession. And then finally, upon request, PACE will set you up for a one-on-one interview with, or a one-on-one meeting, I should say, with a career counselor at PACE University. So that is that as far as looking for a position after the course is over. Okay, PACE Downtown. If you have not already done so, I would strongly encourage you to take the program test drive at paceparalegalstudies.com. You can click around on a modified version of the site. You can kind of get a sense of what you're in for and the actual program, and also just kind of get comfortable with the online technological components. Oh, okay. I just got a question. I just got to follow up. Feel free to ignore it until the end. Okay, we'll get to that in the end then, if that's okay, because we're almost there. We're going to get to Jamie in a second, actually. Talking about our upcoming semester, though, fall, hard to believe Labor Day is over. Summer is over, technically, not technically. Over, I don't know. Hard to believe we're talking about the fall, and the fall class is starting very, very soon. Here are our upcoming convenient times and locations. PACE Midtown, we have 2 sections, and that's at 551 Fifth Avenue at 45th Street, which is right around the corner from Grand Central, so that is very convenient. Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You will have Essential Skills in the morning from 10 to 12, and then you will have a break and pick up with your substantive classes in the afternoon from 1 to 3:30. So that is the schedule for the Saturday classes, not only in New York City, but the same for White Plains. That that section starts September 17th and runs until February 18th with all appropriate classes off, days off for holidays and such in the fall. We also have the evening Tuesday, Thursday class in Midtown, 6 to 8:30 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Essentials on Tuesdays, and Substantives on Thursdays. Starts September 27th and goes until February 23rd. Now downtown at the One Pace Plaza location, we have Monday, Wednesday evenings from 6 to 8:30 p.m. and we will have Substantives on Monday and Essentials on Wednesday in that section, September 12th through February 6th. And the day class, Monday and Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Monday will be your substantive class, and Wednesday, Essential Skills, September 19th through February 13th. Then up in White Plains, classes are held in the lovely Pace University Law School at 78 North Broadway. It's probably about a 5-minute, I always took the cab. I always take a cab up or I always take Metro North up from the city. But it's probably about a 5-minute cab ride from the train station. If you're a strong walker, which I really never am when I'm up there, it's probably maybe a 15-20 minute walk or so, so it's not that bad. Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Again, Essentials in the morning, Substantives in the afternoon. Starts this Saturday, September 10th. I can't believe we're starting so quickly. Saturday, September 10th to February 11th. Now, tuition is $49.95 just for being here this evening, and I have a list of all of you who are in attendance. Just by being here this evening, you will receive a $200 discount, plus materials of approximately $600. Now, I say approximately because your Essential Skills book are a required purchase through the program, because they also include technology fees for the website, Westlaw, and Lexis, etc. But your other books, your substantive books, you can purchase wherever and however you want. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, new, used, Nook or Kindle, you can rent them. So that's a good way to be able to, keep costs down. Also, you don't need all of your books at once. You're going to start with Essential Skills and Torts. You'll need those right away. But, you're not going to get into family law until January, until 2017. So you can really space out the purchase of those books. Now, in addition to the campus classes, we do always have available an online program, open entry. Once you register and all of your, financial ducks are in a row, you get started. Self-paced, you have 1 year to complete it from your start date, and you will be assigned an attorney instructor who will work with you during the course of the program. Again, you'll have 1 year to complete it. If you're good at pacing yourself and you can't get to any of the campus classes, or they're not going to work into your schedule, the online program is really a wonderful way to take the exact same program. If, of course, you prefer to be in an actual classroom and have the kind of give and take with an instructor right in front of you, then the campus class would probably be a better option for you. But the online program is wonderful for those, again, who can't get to the actual campus classes or it doesn't fit in their schedules, and want to take the same program, but within the year and from the comfort of their own home. Tuition $69.95. That includes materials, so we will send you your books. I should note, and I'm reminded by reading the notation in red down here, we do cap class sizes in the ground classes, so we will cap class sizes at about 20 or 25. So certainly if you are interested in a particular section, especially since we're getting close to start dates and such, better to register sooner rather than later. We don't want anyone to be in a huge lecture hall type situation where you are just one of many. We don't want it to be overwhelming for you. We also don't want it to be overwhelming for your instructors, who certainly don't want to grade 100 summary judgment motions at the end of the semester. So do keep that in mind when you are registering, that we do cap those class sizes. And I would say classes generally run in the area of 12 to 15 to 20 students or so. But we do sometimes have to close out the class, a particular class, because it gets too full. So definitely keep that in mind so you don't miss out on your preferred section. Now, one more thing before I turn you over to Jamie. In addition to the certificate program, we also offer specialist programs. And these are all done online, structured very similar to the certificate online program. But these are for students who already have either a paralegal certificate, other paralegal education, have been working in a law firm for a period of time, and who need a specialization in some particular area of law. So we have about 20 different areas of law. You see a smattering of them here. If you are working at an immigration firm, and certainly that's not a course that's taught in the certificate program, you need more knowledge in immigration, you can take an immigration specialist, intellectual property, healthcare, criminal, you name it, there's probably a specialist for it. Again, structured very much like the online program, except you will have 6 months to complete the specialist program, 2 required classes, and usually 2 electives that you take for each specialist. Again, open entry, self-paced, and you will be assigned an attorney instructor. Okay, now I'm going to turn Jamie's audio back on and turn things over to her to talk about financing and registration. So Jamie, whenever you are ready, it is all you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So my name is Jamie, and I'm the program manager of the Paralegal program for Pace University. So tonight I'll be talking about financing options and how to register for the program. So we have 2 financing options available. We have a tuition payment plan, which breaks the tuition into 8 monthly payments. So your average monthly payment would be about $624 due on the 1st of every month or the 15th of every month, depending on the payment plan that you enroll in. So it's interest-free, and the tuition will be spread out for 8 months, and there is no credit check necessary to enroll in a payment plan. So anyone is able to utilize the payment plan method. You can also apply for a private education loan through any private loan lender of your choice. And as you can see at the bottom, we have some banks that we've worked with in the past. So we have Sallie Mae, Wells Fargo, Chase Select. Those are some of the most popular ones that we work with. But again, we have a full list of private loan lenders on our website. And with the private loan, you would apply on the bank lender's website, and you'll know immediately if you're approved or not. And then those funds would be dispersed directly to Pace University. So before applying for a private education loan, you would have to register for the paralegal program first, because then the bank will reach out to Pace University to have the loan certified, and if they don't see you registered in our system, they won't certify the loan. So for both the tuition payment plan and the private education loan, you'd have to register directly with me. You can see my contact information up at the top, or my colleague Selena Chan. So that about wraps it up for financing options. So I believe we can open the floor to any questions.
I'm ready for questions, and we do already have last time I missed the last slide, so I just had to check to make sure I didn't. Okay, so for anybody who missed in the beginning when I was talking about questions, everybody's audio is turned off because it's just so sensitive. The system is just so sensitive. I literally just turned Jamie's audio back on. So if you do have questions in your GoToWebinar toolbar, there is a questions box. You can start typing away, and they will pop up on my screen. But we did already get one question that I've been waiting to answer, only because I was told I could wait to answer, so that was good. Can we practice as paralegals with the certificate? I think in New York it's not required to have any special certificates such as are offered through the National Association of Legal Assistants. You don't need any particular licensing or anything in New York to be able to work as a paralegal. It's not like an attorney has to take and pass the bar and be licensed as an attorney in New York. It's not the same thing for a paralegal. I think there's been talk over the years about doing that, but it hasn't happened yet. I don't know if it ever will happen. The PACE Paralegal Certificate is essentially a certificate of education that you are showing to prospective employers that you have completed this educational program and you now have knowledge in the law and paralegal studies, etc. So you can certainly do whatever you want with the certificate afterwards. There are no requirements in the state of New York for paralegals. Are there part-time or per diem jobs? I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, you can just throw me a follow-up. Are there part-time or per diem jobs available for paralegals, and are they hard to find? I would say that probably as far as per diem jobs are concerned, and also part-time, you will certainly find part-time jobs in law firms that attorneys or law firms either don't have enough work for a full-time paralegal, or they have a new project that's coming in that they need assistance with. As I mentioned early on in the webinar, my firm had to bring in a whole batch of paralegals to help us with a document review and trial prep for a case a couple years ago. So certainly things like that will come up in law firms where they will need paralegals for just either a part-time basis, whether it be part-time in the week or only a couple months or so. So those are certainly out there. There are also document reviews that are going on all the time. Often they will, large law firms will want to bring in attorneys or paralegals to assist with the document review, and those can last for months. And those are often found through like legal search firms, etc. So, there's certainly such jobs out there. It's just a matter of people don't really pound the pavement anymore, but the 2016 edition of Pounding the Pavement, checking online, checking the various job boards and legal databases and such to see what's there. And certainly, as I mentioned, as job opportunities come in for PACE paralegals, we post them on Paralegal Space for graduates and current students. So it definitely is doable. You just have to, put in your time looking for it. The $200 discount, will that apply if we register in the spring? Yes, you can't get away from us, so it will certainly apply. You don't have to listen to us again in the spring. As far as just going back to the original question about any kind of certification or anything that is needed in the state of New York, yes, you can, if your firm wants to refer to you as a paralegal, you certainly can be referred to as a paralegal. And the question was, can I basically be referred to as a paralegal upon completing the program? Yes, again, because there are no requirements in the state of New York. However, your firm or any firm anyone wants to work at decides to, I guess, label your position, you can certainly be called a paralegal. As far as a substantial section on business law, and that is a follow-up question I just got. Is there a substantial section on business law? Not business law or corporate business organizations and corporate law, thank you, is not one of the substantive courses that is included as a part of the paralegal program, for the certificate program. There is some overlap with contract law, but there is a separate business organizations class that that we offer as a part of one of the specialist programs. But in that class, you would learn about forming corporations, LLCs, PCs, things like that. Piercing the corporate veil, that's pretty much the main thing I took out of my corporations class in law school. So you won't hone in on those very specific areas of corporate law in the certificate program. Again, there will be a little bit of overlap with contract law, but corporate law, business law, and organizations is in a separate specialist class. It just isn't one that was included in the certificate program. Let's see, how many hours of study or class preparation weekly should everyone anticipate? Could working full-time affect your success? No, we have lots of students who take the program full-time, who work full-time and are also taking the program. It's going to be a busy 5 months, though, I won't lie to you. It does go by quickly, though, but it will be very, very busy. Now, we do have a requirement on the website as far as working through the study support and working through the materials and such, that students need to acquire 260 online hours in the ground program working through the support online. Now, we do recommend that students log into the study support to have their time tracked, and this is all something that we get into in greater detail once you register for the program and we're getting you set up on the site, and we'll do a walkthrough webinar of the site, etc. But we do recommend that students log in to have their time tracked by the site whenever they're doing anything for the program to assist with the accumulation of those hours. So I'll often tell classes, you need to log 260 hours, that's a program requirement, and people's mouths will fall open and they'll look at me like, you're crazy, like I have a life, I have a family, I have a job. Well, it logs and that time accumulates much faster than you would anticipate, and we've never had a problem with students reaching that 260-hour requirement for the ground program. The bottom line is it's going to be a busy 5 months. There's a lot of reading. The reading can be intense at times. There's going to be some reading which, early on in the semester it's going to be, a little easier, and then later on in the semester, or it may seem more familiar to you because you've watched some Law and Order, or, read up on, the, various lawsuits and the law and such in the paper or wherever. But, there's going to be a good amount of reading. 1 week you may need to read, 4 chapters in contracts and 3 chapters in essential skills, and, draft a discovery demand. So it definitely is a busy 5 months. It is doable to complete the program and work full time. It's just a matter of, managing your time and making sure you get it all in. So. And the hour requirement, it's 260 online hours are required for the program. That's for the ground program. For online, it's 360 because online, you're online all the time. If you have already signed up for the tuition payment plan and started the payment process, can you switch and get a private student loan instead? Jamie, that one's all you.
So yes, if you wanted to start the process for applying for a private education loan, I can send you the email with the instructions on how to apply for the private education loan. And then once you are approved for the loan and the funds are dispersed to PACE, your balance would be settled. So yes, it is still possible.
Okay. When does the spring class begin and when does it end? So spring classes will usually begin a couple weeks or so after the fall semester ends. So probably, I would say, late February to early March, and classes will go until mid to late July, depending upon the start date. And we have the fall semester every year and the spring semester every year. So if fall isn't going to work out for you this time, that's okay. You can come to us for spring 2017 or even fall 2017 and moving forward. As far as, we just got a clarification for what does it mean by online. Well, I mean two different things by online. One thing I mean by online is the differentiation between the in-class program, the on-campus at PACE program, and also the online-only program. Also, when I talk about online, I mean working through the materials on Paralegal Space. So when the 260-hour requirement is online requirement is a requirement to work through the study support and various labs and tutorials and such on the website on Paralegal Space. So that's what I mean by that. Any more questions? And for the student who had the question about switching to a private student loan, I will let Jamie know who you are so she can reach out to you, but also if you want to reach out to her directly, you can see Jamie can't ever get away from any of us. Here is her her contact information, phone, and her email address. Also, if you send Jamie any questions that may be better suited for me, such as about the practice of law in general, or materials and things like that, she will forward that to me, and I am more than happy to assist in answering those questions. So there are no other questions quite yet. Oh, here we go. Let's see, I don't look close enough. I look away to look at Jamie's phone number, and then another question comes in. Okay. Please keep typing your questions because Jamie and I will just kind of babble for a couple minutes as we wait for more questions to come in. So if you have questions, please go ahead and type them. The Essentials and the Torts books are the only ones we need to start, yes. For the beginning of class, for the first Essentials, again, the Essentials class is for the duration of the program. So you'll need your Essentials books from the very beginning to the very end. But as far as the substantives are concerned, your first 4 weeks of the program will be tort law. Then you will move into contract law, then procedures, and then family law. And the schedule is a little bit staggered. It's a 5-month program, and of course four substantive classes, 4 weeks each. If you do the math, that's only 4 months. Those remaining classes are given over the course of the semester to essential skills for computer lab time, things like that. But for sure, Torts and Essentials are the books that you will need to start the program, because also there will be reading assignments for your first classes. And we do have direct links to digital versions of the Essential Skills books that we provide to students before the start of class. Just in the event you haven't received your hard copy books yet, or you're a late registration and again haven't received them, we do provide you with the direct links so you can access the materials, but we don't have the same direct links for the substantive books. So also, Jamie, this one's for you. How can a company pay the tuition payments via check?
Via check, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we can arrange a payment plan schedule in which you can drop off the checks with me throughout the duration of your program. So for more information on that, you can just submit a registration form to me and just indicate that your employer will be paying. And then I will work with you directly on setting up when you can bring me the checks.
Okay, how are lectures presented for the online-only class? The online-only class is structured a little differently. There aren't the same there aren't lectures per se. You are basically working through the same study support as the ground class on your own and reaching out to your instructor with any questions or with any issues or anything like that. So there aren't any lectures that are online. You're simply working through the materials online on your own. So that's how that works. Now, as we wait for additional questions to come in, I will tell you a couple parting thoughts, I guess, that I sometimes forget to tell students. Once all students have successfully completed the program, we do have a lovely graduation ceremony each semester where you will receive beautifully framed PACE paralegal certificates. We have valedictorians, we have salutatorians, there are speeches, uh, there's food. I always get very into the ordering of the food. There's food. Your family is invited. It really is a wonderful opportunity to celebrate all of your hard work, celebrate your accomplishments, beautiful ceremony to obtain your certificates, and just a great time is always had by all at the graduations. And those are usually scheduled within about a month and a half or so after the end of the semester. So it's always, again, a very nice celebration to celebrate, to commemorate, to celebrate all of your hard work in the program. Will there be ways to make up classes if we miss a class? Yes. Now, to the extent possible, we will work with students, if you miss the third essential skills class, we'll look to see where the third essential skills class, for instance, is being, is scheduled, when it's scheduled to be taught in one of the other sections. So to the extent possible, we will assist you in making those arrangements. It is done on a case-by-case scenario. It's not something we like to do, every day, every week. Certainly, if you register for one section, we want you to and need you to stick to that one section. But we recognize that things come up, and we certainly appreciate that you want to make up the material in another one. But certainly, if it is possible, we will, let you know it's possible on such and such a day at such and such a location, and we will certainly make arrangements for you to sit in on that class, with the caveat that all the instructors are different. The way that they present the material may be a little bit different. So so you just need to keep that in mind whenever there is any kind of conflict or anything like that. When will you find out who the professor will be for an in-class course? Well, once I receive rosters and set students up for the various paralegal space sites, your instructors will post welcome announcements for you. So you'll be able to see, at least at the outset, who your essential skills and tort law instructors are. However, if you would like to reach out to Jamie directly, she can let you know for a particular section who the instructors are scheduled to be, and we'd be happy to let you know that in advance. Is the program ABA approved? It is not ABA approved. I'm going to get into kind of a three-pronged answer for that, and also a little background as to what the ABA is. The ABA is the American Bar Association, which is a voluntary association that paralegal programs, law firms, lawyers, etc. can join. Not to be confused with the Bar of the State of New York, which licenses attorneys to practice law. Now, there are about 1,200 paralegal programs around the country. Approximately 350 of them or so are ABA approved. And it is usually those programs who are affiliated with smaller community college type programs that don't necessarily have the same name recognition that Pace University has in the legal community in the area. In order to obtain ABA approval, there's a requirement for a much longer program. The ABA requires additional courses in addition to legal classes that make the program more akin to an associate's degree in paralegal studies. Liberal arts type classes are required to be included and makes the program much longer. And when this program was developed, our program developer really wanted to put out a program where students could get the transferable skills that they needed to be able to get out into the legal community and start searching for a job and start working sooner rather than later. You know, if you want to make a career change, you know, you don't want to wait 2 years to make your career change. You want to make your career change. So the specific goal of the program was to develop the transferable legal skills in students so they could get out there sooner rather than later and start working. Now, again, not many, you know, the minority of paralegal programs around the country have ABA approval. PACE does not. None of the paralegal programs that we offer around the country, and I should take a step back for a second and note that I work for the program developer, and this same program that is taught at Pace University is taught at other universities around the country. So in addition to Pace, we also offer the program at UC Berkeley, Duke University, University of Miami, and other universities around the country, none of which have ABA approval, none of which want ABA approval, and it has not been any sort of hindrance for students in going out there and looking for jobs, especially in the New York area, as far as the PACE program is concerned, and with the name recognition of Pace University. You could, you know, walk out of Pace University and throw a rock and, you know, probably hit someone who has either gone to Pace undergrad or has gone to Pace Law School. So the program is certainly known, and again, that's why I mentioned smaller, you know, community college type programs are the ones who usually seek ABA approval. We have no intention of seeking ABA approval. None of our universities are looking for us to, and again, it has not hindered our students. Quite frankly, until I started working with the paralegal program about 8 years ago, I had no idea what an ABA-approved paralegal program was. When I was searching for a paralegal, I was looking for someone who could get to work right away and wasn't going to ask me 10,000 questions on the first day. So again, having that legal baseline to be able to hit the ground running as soon as you get into a law firm. You'll find that a lot of the bigger firms will often say that they would like someone with a certificate from an ABA-approved paralegal program, but the majority of firms are not looking for that. So I hope that answers your question. Again, I always tend to rattle on and on about that one. You know, deciding on a paralegal program is very, you know, it's a personal decision. So you have to make the decision that is right for you. So, you know, I put it all out there, and you know, you can let the chips fall where they may, I guess. But, you know, the PACE paralegal program we've been around now for, at PACE for about 6 years. This paralegal program has been around for about 15, 16 years or so. And we have lots of paralegals out there who have great jobs and are doing great work and, you know, have received a great education. So we certainly hope that your decision will be with us. Okay. Again, babbling on and on. Any further questions? I should note that sometimes the most important question, the best question that you need to ask is the one that you remember to ask after we have logged off for the evening, and that's okay because you have Jamie's email address. In the alternative, you can reach out to Selena Chan, also a program manager at Pace University. And again, if any of your questions are better suited to me, they will pass them along to me, and I am more than happy to assist you. Any final words, Jamie? Any final words of wisdom before we log off for the evening? Give everybody a chance to type in type in any of your questions that you may have?
So yes, about private education loans, I'm not sure if I said this, but if you want to apply for private education loan, please reach out to me and I will send you a very detailed email with the instructions on how to do that. Because there's certain school codes you need to get, so I have all of that information, which I would be happy to email to you.
Okay, so if we don't have any final questions, I guess we will call it a night. I want to thank all of you for your interest, for your participation, and for your good questions, and hopefully we will see your names on rosters and your faces in classrooms or in online classrooms. So thank you again
And thank you, Stephanie.
and thank you, Jamie. You are the best. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and have a great night. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Have a good night.